Minecraft has been adding tons of new features and changes, but many are secret, so learn about them all with 20 secret new updates you didn't know about in Minecraft. The first secret change is with slime blocks. Now when you jump and land on a slime block, you'll bounce up, and this stops you from taking fall damage, but of course this also makes it so that you have to wait for that bouncing to stop. As an example, you can use this as an MLG block, but again you're bouncing on it. However, that is completely changed. You see, what used to happen would be if you did sneak on that slime block, you would take damage, but that's no longer what happens. In fact, now it is no longer possible to take any damage when falling on a slime block, even if you're sneaking. And so because of this, it makes using slime blocks for things like MLG jumps, as well as just courses, to be not only safer, but also a lot more useful. So for an example, we can have a bunch of slime stop our fall and give us that big bounce, but we land smoothly. Being useful for an MLG jump, we can right click and shift at the same time to land safely. Trial chambers are a great new structure in Minecraft, and a part of them has been recently changed. If we go over here to the trial chambers beds, you can see that they've now been changed so that their color is completely randomized. So because of this, you won't just see certain types of beds every time. Actually, in every trial chamber you go to, you're gonna get these unique colored beds with a different pattern for every one, but is also just an interesting feature and tells us that whoever made the trial chambers had access to all 16 colors of dye, which definitely shows what an advanced civilization must have made this interesting structure. So be sure to watch out for these fun randomized beds. Drowned are always a danger in Minecraft if you're building or living next to the water, but I've always found it's not as dangerous as you would think, as the drowns will not go into the 1 block water and attack you. However, this was actually a bug and has now been fixed, making drowns a much more dangerous mob. So you can see this drown coming over to us here. It would be very easy to walk over here and see the drown stop. And drowns, you can see, do only actively chase you if you're in the water, but this does now count for 1 block deep water. But as well as that, if it's nighttime, then drowns will chase you whether you're in water or not. So for an example here, we're just minding our own business at our base, and this drown is coming up to us here through the water even though it's 1 block tall. So be sure to protect your base even more against drowns, and this really makes their ability of crawling up onto the shore much more usable. Ever since 1.13, there have been actual salmon mobs, as well as cod and other fish, that can spawn in rivers, and in Bedrock Edition there is the large ones, then there is the medium ones, and there are the small ones. And these salmon sizes have been added to Java Edition finally, so that gives us some awesome brand new fishes and fish variants inside of Minecraft, with the ability of finding these massive medium or small salmon, but even if they're really small, they all drop the same amount, and their only difference is visual. And it's so great being able to swim around and see the large salmon, the medium salmon, and even the small salmon, with these awesome new salmon families in Java Edition. Flower pots are a great item in Minecraft for displaying different flowers or other plants. However, before very recently, they had a major problem inside of Java Edition. That is, they would appear far too dark, and this was just recently fixed. So if you had been deciding previously to not use plant pots because of how dark they made the plants, you can notice now the plants are incredibly bright, appearing just as bright inside of the pot as outside of it, if not even a little bit brighter when inside a flower pot. So because of this, when you have your flowers and other plants like azalea, let's say, on display, they're going to be very bright, very visible, and a much better decoration inside of your Minecraft world. So be sure to use flower pots in Minecraft if you want a very bright and visible way of displaying your plants. Pumpkins can be pretty useful in Minecraft, found in patches across the world and in villages. When you shear it, you get the carved pumpkin. and I think most players are aware that you can wear it on your head and have there be this strange sort of pumpkin face outline while having this on your head, and it has different abilities like letting Endermen not attack you. However, Mojang has recently been upgrading the carved pumpkin quite a lot, and here's a brand new use for it. If we open up a map, and you can see it right there, and even those orange dots on the map of the pumpkin patch, there's a little white marker moving around, which is our player as we traverse the world. Now, if I were going to now put on this pumpkin, a new functionality is going to happen. I am hidden from other players on the map, so only I can see my marker on the map and other players can't. This is really useful if, let's say, some players are trying to track you down and you want them not to be able to see you, then you can simply throw on this carved pumpkin, run away, and be out of their sight. So if you want to hide from other players on the map, simply equip a carved pumpkin. Bees are one of my favorite features in Minecraft, and Mojang wants players to be bee farmers too. So it recently made 2 changes to make that even easier and to make bees better. The first one is, if we look at this bee nest in my inventory, it actually tells us what's inside of it now. It says bees 3 out of 3 and honey 0 out of 5. However, another big thing that has generally been an issue is that the bees will run away quite easily, and so because of this you have to make bee enclosures, giving them some flowers to use, but also having to trap them or at least restrict them quite severely. However, according to Mojang, this is no more. With their most recent change, bees wander less, get lost less, and look for their hive for a longer amount of time. Because of this, outdoor bee enclosures are now a great idea. This is another one of a lot of changes that Mojang has been making to make bees get lost less. So because of this, it now is practical to have beautiful outdoor bee farms. Mojang has implemented 2 changes to banners in Minecraft, which makes crafting them significantly different. So the first one is they've updated the textures for all banner patterns. Now they used to look a lot different and were at more of an angle like paper, but now they have these really cool new front-facing textures, and I think it's a pretty good new look. However, the other change is adding 2 new banner patterns, and these are to create parity between Bedrock and Java. So Bedrock has always had a border indented banner pattern made out of vines and a piece of paper, and it's also had a field masoned banner pattern made out of bricks and a piece of paper. And this was never in Java. These 2 patterns could easily be accessed just by looking through this list here, but you can see they've actually been removed. So let's say we want to make a red banner with field masoned on it, we have to use the pattern, but thankfully when we put the pattern in this pattern shaped slot, we can reuse this as many times as you want. The same is now true with border indented. If we want that, we have to put in the pattern for it to get this shape. There's a new small change around horses that I think may indicate a much larger and awesome update that we could receive for them. Now to show this, I actually have to go into creative, and we have to use an anvil to put an enchantment on horse armor. You see, up until now, horse armor did not show their enchantment glint, and this was a bug. That is, the shine that's on the horse armor wasn't shown. But you can see now that we put it on the horse, you can see that glint. It's definitely splashing through the blue texture there. And the reason why Mojang fixing this tiny bug is interesting is that it could very well indicate that Mojang is adding enchantments to horse armor soon, or even the possibility that horse armor and wolf armor could soon be types that you can enchant and get great benefits for your animals. My all-time favorite weapon in Minecraft is the Firework crossbow or the rocket launcher, and I found this weapon type to be quite popular. However, there is a big problem with it that Mojang recently fixed, making it an even better weapon to use. Basically, if there was a lot of mobs close to you and you shot fireworks at them, the fireworks would go right through them. But now it'll properly collide, so if we hit these zombies close to us, you can see that it hit and those zombies were hurt. And of course, if we hit them again, they all died. So it's an incredibly useful functionality, as before, if you were close range with these rockets, you could not necessarily kill the mobs that were directly in front of you. But now that has changed, and this short range combat has been made much easier. As you can see right here, we barely survived that scenario just because of that feature. If you have a raid farm, it's probably been recently broken inside of your game. That's because Mojang has changed the mechanics that causes raids to spawn, and this makes it so that the mechanics have to be changed to actually allow for villagers to spawn mobs, and for those mobs to be used in a raid farm. Now this version works really well, but it is also quite different than the raid farms that were built before, requiring lots of mechanics like pushing the player up and down. So because Mojang decided to break raid farms in this update, be sure to look into new designs if you want to have those work. We also have new variants for the squids. So of course there's the normal squids, but now we also have the baby squids. Now unlike what you see here, baby squids can be a bit hard to find, as only 1 in 20 squids will spawn as a baby. However, if you do want to see this cute baby version of a squid, which definitely adds a bit of depth to the squid mob, then you now can do that in Java. Now also, if we come down here into this cave, you can see the glow squids also have this. So we have the adult glow squids, but also the baby glow squids. These new mobs are incredibly adorable and are an awesome mob to have around. But there's even more, because dolphins as well have been given this upgrade. You see we have the normal dolphins, but there's also these baby dolphins that are around us, giving us a whole ecosystem of dolphins in the game. I just love how much depth this adds, and again, it does only spawn as 5% of dolphins. I think they could raise that number to maybe 20%, but for now, only 1 in 20 dolphins spawns as a baby. These adorable mobs give us great dolphin, squid, and glow squid families in the game. A long time ago, boats very easily would break in the game, and when they did, they would turn into some sticks and planks. And this was changed a long time ago to the boats just breaking into the boat item. However, they've fixed the glitch which basically had this still be in the game under certain conditions, where you would fall and then when you would hit the ground your boat would break. However, this has now been changed, so there's no longer a chance that you'll die when falling from a boat. This is nice because it makes surviving in a boat even easier, and boats are honestly one of the best items in the game for this kind of thing, so it's really nice that they fixed the glitch that sometimes with falling with these boats they'd actually break. This time they don't, and we can use them to traverse all over the world. They can still break in lava though. If you're a big fan of Redstone in Minecraft, you might have noticed this already, but Mojang recently changed all the textures for Redstone torch items. And this is a really interesting change to the texture of the game, as Redstone torches have looked how they did for a long time. You can see the texture also does show up inside of your inventory here, on the torch only, showing this sort of red square around it. And the overall redstone torch looks bigger because of this, and it is really an interesting texture, being able to see the inside of the torch and the outside. Although I do miss the old redstone torch texture, I think this one looks really nice. However, I wish they had have updated the redstone wires as well, as they're something that I think needs to be updated even more into a clear, more streamlined, straight wire, instead of it technically being disconnected. If you look at it, there's a pixel here every block, where it's not even touching. Cauldrons are a fun decorative and useful item inside of Minecraft, and you can fill them with water, but as well as that, you can fill them with powder snow, or you can fill them with lava. And of course, it's easy to put these things in and out of the cauldron. However, Mojang has added an interesting change that actually makes this not be able to be done underwater. So I'm clicking as many times as I can, and this just will not fill. The same is also true for the powder snow. You can click on this as many times as you want, and the powder snow will just go on top of it, but it'll not go inside that cauldron. However, if we were to surround this cauldron in blocks that would dry it out like this, we can then of course put, let's say, powder snow in it or lava. Then let's break all these temporary slime blocks, and what you will see is the lava does remain inside the cauldron. So you can get, if you want, powder snow or lava inside of a cauldron that's underwater, but it does take a little bit of work because you cannot do it if there's water surrounding it. Suspicious Stew is a fun but also useful item in Minecraft, where if you add a flower to your bowl of mushroom soup, it'll turn into a suspicious stew, and will give you an effect based on what flour you put in it. With Suspicious Stew in Minecraft, you can add a flower to your bowl of soup to give it an effect, and it depends on the flower what effect you get. But certain things, like the tall flowers, do not of course turn into suspicious stew. However, Mojang has added the recipes for suspicious stew into the crafting book. They should make the recipes even better than they currently are. If we look in the grid, you can see right here the suspicious stew shows up as one item, and if we click it, it goes through different types. If we right click here, you can see all the different types they have, but unfortunately, although it does show us what flowers we can use, it does not show us what these suspicious stews actually do. So it still does remain suspicious, but at least it's nice to have that recipe in the game now, even though you might still get blinded by what you drink. Breeze are a fun, challenging mob in Minecraft. However, Mojang has recently changed them to work even more dangerously. You see, before, if you were very close to the breeze, it actually wouldn't attack you, but now there is no minimum distance to which the breeze will attack the player. So because of this, getting close to the breeze is not a good way of avoiding the damage from it. So this will definitely result in even more wind charges being fired at you inside of your trial chambers runs, as this mob will hit you no matter where you are in relation to it. And just be careful, as this makes the anti-blaze be a much more dangerous mob. As well as there now being baby squids, there's another big change to squids, and that's to their motion. Now you can see that squids will sometimes get stuck above the water and die if they're in a small place of water. However, they no longer float and collide incorrectly with their surfaces. You can see here, although they do look very funny, they aren't actually floating in the air. Although this one looks like it, its hitbox is still in the water, and so because of this, squids look a lot more realistic, and the long-running joke in Minecraft of squids doing things like floating high into the air, which they definitely have done, is not possible through glitches anymore. So now the only way you'll get floating squids is through the levitation effect. So is squid movement now perfected in Minecraft? Probably not, but at least you're not going to see as many glitched mobs around your world. And of course, all these changes also apply to the movement of glow squids. String is one of the best resources in Minecraft for crafting very many useful items, like bows, as well as wool blocks, tripwires, crossbows, bundles, and more. And there used to be a way of glitching the game where you could use water to duplicate string using tripwire hooks. However, this has been fixed. So if you want to have an infinite string farm now in Minecraft, you cannot use the tripwire hook farm method, as it just doesn't work. So although this does make string farming a little bit more difficult, it is nice to see Mojang fixing a duplicating glitch. And I've actually designed a far more efficient string farm that does work without duplication that I'll show off in a later video. Now, if you're in a very built up area in Minecraft, like let's say the spawn area of my server, play.icraftmc.com, and you can also join it by going to my Discord below and getting added to the whitelist. And of course you can play on it if you're on either Bedrock or Java Edition, but either way, if you're in a large built up area like this, it can definitely use a lot of your computer's resources. And if you're, let's say, AFKing and have Minecraft in the background, you don't want that to be using a lot of your resources. That has now been fixed. So the game will now limit the maximum frame rate when it's minimized or when the player is AFK. And a new video setting is here to configure it. So you can see reduce FPS when AFK. This button, you can see it's on minimized or AFK. I would suggest having it on there, and it's a great little setting. Of course, also a great feature if you're running a farm and you don't want it to use your resources. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please press the like button, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye!